Hey friends, hope everybody's having a good Sunday. I just cracked open a tin of McClelland's Epitome. Yes, I did. Jim DeShane gave me this. Smoking it in my Butch Chicken. This McClelland's, you probably won't be able to see it, but I can pull a piece out without dropping the rest of it. When I look at it in the sun, it is just glistening with little sugar crystals. Almost wish I hadn't opened it up, but I'm going to smoke this bowl and probably one or two more. Then I'm going to jar that and just let it get better and better. Good stuff. Love it when that happens. So what's going on? I've seen 3, I believe, videos that were talking about normal childhoods. And all 3 of those videos were very very open and honest, deeply emotional stuff. And for one, I just appreciate the fact that somebody else commented this. I just really appreciate the fact that you trust us enough to and feel comfortable enough saying some of the things that you said. I wanted to talk about normal as it relates to humans, childhoods and whatnot. I don't think normal is a term that can really be applied in to humans, human nature, human understanding, as it relates to how people grow up or how people live their lives or something like that. What is a normal childhood? There's no such thing. And proof of it is those 3 videos. Normal is relative. I've said before, talking about something bad that was happening, I said, someone said, you get used to it. It's amazing what the capacity of human beings to get used to something. Speaks a lot to who they are, and to, in some situations, who the flip side of that coin is. When I was growing up, I had a normal childhood in that nothing terribly outlandish happened to me. But if you really look at my childhood, I'm not going to make this personal about what I went through or what. I was a kid of a divorce. I had very domineering step parent. I had alcoholic parents. I had mentally abusive people in my life. Never was physically abused. But there was always that threat hanging over my head. But anyway, you go up and down the block that I live on, first kid you come to is named Terry. His parents were Ward and June Cleaver. Literally, they looked like them, they acted like them, they talked like them. Their house was perfect in every way, except for Terry had an older brother that abused him horribly. Was that normal for him? 2 houses down from him lived John and Peter, kids of German immigrants, whose parents shouted at them incessantly, constantly yelling at them, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. They never listened. They never took anything their parents said to heart. John unfortunately had an accident and had all kind of problems. He had head injury, so he had all kind of problems after that, after we were basically grown. He was very abusive of Peter, as was their older sister. Peter turned out to be a rocket scientist, one of the smartest people I know, probably. Literally a rocket scientist. There was a TV show on one of the alternative networks a few years back about redneck rocket scientist. I can't remember the title of it. He was one of those guys. Next door to them lived Lewis, a developmentally disabled guy, who was also African American. This was in the 70s in the Deep South. Attitudes weren't quite what they are today by a lot of people. Lewis was one of the nicest people I knew then or since. He was a great guy. He got picked on horribly. I never heard anything overtly racist hurled at him, but that was part of it at school and stuff like that. Don't know what became of Lewis. Further on down the street, had 2 girls, Carrie and Brooke. I helped coach them on a softball team when I was in my teens. Their parents were open swingers. Did things in the presence of children that should not be done, including me. Two houses up from them was my buddy Keith. Keith had an alcoholic, abusive father. We treated him okay for the most part, but his younger brother and his older sister was also developmentally disabled and physically disabled, and she had a lot of stuff wrong with her, and he treated both of them like crap, along with his wife. He was a violent drunk, somewhat of an asshole. Further up the street, across the street from me, was David. and Johnny, his older brother. Johnny was the neighborhood bully. You were either on his good side or you ran from him a lot. I happened to be on his good side for some reason. He was a lot older than us, so I didn't have a lot to do with him. But his brother David, as we got older, was if you needed some illegal substances, he was the guy you went to. He didn't have it, he knew where to get it. His mom was a sheriff. Who had to have known what was going on. Right around the corner from him, there was another David. This was the most sheltered child I think I've ever come in contact with. We would go to his house and play football in his front yard. His mom would only allow a certain number of kids to be in the yard at one time. And if you managed to get on her good side, you would be allowed inside their house eventually, one at a time. So he was never allowed out of his yard that I'm aware of. And people kind of picked on him a little too. That was unfortunate. You know, a couple of houses down from them, there were 3 other kids who lived in an extremely dysfunctional household, violent, abusive, alcoholic. So that was normal for all of us, I guess. I don't know. I don't think any one of us would have traded with any of the other ones and said, this is much better. I just don't think such a thing as normal exists. And nowadays, if you were to say something like, you know, a factually accurate statement, such as, forgive me if my numbers are wrong, 90% of the people are born right-handed. It's normal to be born right-handed. You're going to have a whole lot of people offended, ticked off at you for accusing left-handed people of not being normal, of being less than normal or whatever. Or try this one. The sexuality of people. What's normal, what's not normal. There are a bunch of people out there that would have your butt thrown in jail if you accused them of not being normal, if they could. Or physically attack you, or who knows what. And there are people on the other side of that coin too that would physically attack somebody that they didn't think was normal. They're normal. I don't know, it's a weird thing to me. I've often thought there is no such thing as normal. The only normal that exists in my mind is, it's normal for a dog to pant when he's thirsty. It's normal for 2 and 2 to equal 4. It's, factually accurate kind of things. Beyond that, it's kind of up in the air anymore. I was thinking about this sitting in church this morning. Somebody was talking about good, better, and best, striving to be your best. I might save this for another video, but what's good enough for a lot of people is good enough, even though it may be not so good as good or better or best. Good enough all of a sudden becomes best. Something else comes along, that's good enough. It's good enough. It's good enough. All of a sudden your standards don't exist. I think we've been seeing that in society in a major way in the last 50 years. The standard for what's good or good enough or what's normal has changed drastically, and it no longer means the same thing it used to mean. And like Merle said, rolling down a hillside like a snowball headed for hell. Whether you believe in heaven or hell, you can understand the concept. You guys have a good day. I just want to say to those people that made those videos, Mark, Steven, Johan, I don't know how to say what I'm trying to say, but I hate that you had to go through what you went through, and I'm thankful that you came out of it in such a way that you can talk about it and hopefully help some other people that might be going through it. With that, I will see you later. Take care, folks.